Absolutely. Yeah.
I just hit record, so it should be recording. It says it is. Well, I'm Barbara Birdie. In my real life, I am the public relations manager at the Washington Ballet, which is how I know Ruben Martin. He's one of our ballet masters there. And I've been furloughed since April the 1st.
Hmm.
And he asked if I would help out with my sensei, and I said I would be delighted to. So that is why I'm talking with you today. I'm going to ask you some questions, but I just want to have a conversation with you so that the students who are interested will get a sense of who you are and your background and how you got started in dance. And so maybe we can just begin there. How did you get started in dance? Was it something you wanted to do? Was it something your parents wanted you to do? How did you begin and where?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Barbara, for having me. I think it is great for the students to get to know me personally. I'm honored to share with you all my knowledge. And so I got started, well, first of all, really to backtrack, I was born at the height of Soviet Russia. So as Estonia was part of Soviet Russia, a lot of emphasis in general in Russian culture is all on the arts, which I am actually very, very thankful for. And what that means is that even though there is one national TV channel that everybody's watching, not two or three, just one. And on that channel, all the national artists like opera singers, actors, ballet dancers have their own TV shows. And these TV shows are aired throughout the day. And there will be like an evening with, let's say, roughly like Pavarotti, like equivalent, yeah? And that will be a 1-hour show and everybody can watch this. And as a young child who was fascinated by the world of theater, I would sit in front of the TV. I knew all the opera arias backwards and forwards, and I knew all of the ballet classics backwards and forwards. I knew all the classic Russian films. I knew everything about the stars. And more than anything in this world, I wanted to do exactly what they did, give back and share their art with everybody. And that was sort of a passion that got me going, with the hopes that one day maybe I could work for the Estonian National Opera House that hosts opera, operetta, and ballet and musicals, and be part of that institution. And I guess my mother saw that passion in me and took me to the capital city and put me into ballet school audition. And back then there were 140 students auditioning, and only 8 boys got accepted and 12 girls got accepted. That was at the height of Soviet Russia, where everybody wanted to be part of the arts, because being part of the arts meant somewhat the liberation, also the possibility to see the world, possibility to learn about other art forms. And because the walls or the borders were very much closed, that was a great desire to reach out and see something else.
That's amazing. So how long did you train in Estonia?
I trained for 8 years in the Tallinn Ballet School. And what that means is there is no, so what does that mean? In order for you to study for ballet, you have to go through the audition process. And it isn't, unfortunate, it isn't, at least back then in Soviet Russia, it wasn't something that if you wanted to do it, you could just do it. And it was very unfortunate. In order for you to do it, you had to be selected to the school. And every year, each class had to audition for the next level. And if you had passed the curriculum, which is Vaganova curriculum that I was trained in, if you passed it, you got to move on. If you didn't pass it, unfortunately, you got kicked out of school. And this is something that isn't in America, obviously, and I think it's great that everybody who is passionate about it can try it. I think it's phenomenal. But that was the sort of place that I came from, which was really rigid and only one-sided. They were just only interested in one particular body type, and that body type could pass, and there was no diversity. And that was how I was brought up, at least in dance.
Was there a teacher or a mentor that you had that you felt was inspiring to you, or that was really helpful in developing your strengths?
It was great because also one other thing that happened was because I was born in the countryside in the middle of nowhere. I had to travel every weekend to the boarding school, and I would leave on Monday. It's about 200 kilometers away, the capital city, and I would stay the whole week. At the age of 10, stayed at the hostel, and I would go back in the weekends. On Saturday, my mom would do laundry on Sunday, and then I would go back. But it was great that for the first level, there was a female teacher. So there was sort of this like a motherly nurturing. And she was really, really nice. She was, for 3 years, she taught us, the boys first. And then after the 3 years, on the fourth level, there was a male teacher. And then afterwards, there was a male teacher. But I would say the first 3 years were really nice and nurturing. And it's sort of, there would be times when some of the boys who were from the countryside would break down, cry. And there was always like this motherly hug there to help you get past the hardship.
What challenges have you faced in your career, and what advice would you give to someone who was trying to pursue a career in dance?
Challenges. Well, first of all, in any profession that you're starting, if you're not willing to work hard, you're just not going to get very far. And that is regardless of any person. Hard work will always pay off. If it's not an immediate result, then it will pay off in the long run. But learning to work hard at the age of 10, like a professional would, that meaning that you will always give your 100% in ballet class, is extremely difficult to learn at such an early age. But it's something about the community that ballet has where everybody is working really hard. And that sort of fosters that motivation into all of us, because at least in an earlier age, you see somebody able to do something and you immediately cheer them on, and then you want to try it too. And so it's kind of a good, healthy competition. But at least in ballet, if you really want to go far, like if you really want to become a principal dancer, you have to learn how to work by yourself. You need to learn how to self-motivate. You need to learn how to separate yourself from the rest and just focus on your goal, your ultimate goal. And it's really hard to do, but you sort of have to live in a bubble, because ballet has to become the ultimate focus. And once you have that kind of strength and ability, you will go really far. The people who are on the top of their fields have learned how to live with themselves alone and self-motivate.
How long did it take you to learn that internal personal skill of self-motivating?
It was really hard. It was really hard. The first taste I got of that was when I joined the Estonian National Ballet ballet theater. And first of all, it was a great honor to be alongside with all of these amazing artists suddenly. But I was very fortunate to go in at the time when two of the main principal men were retiring. And just the class ahead of me also took in two soloists from straight away from ballet school. And I got very fortunate that I was also hired as a soloist into the company. But what that meant was that all of my classmates suddenly were doing quarter ballet roles, and I was called into solo roles and principal roles. And I quickly realized that I tried very hard to hang out with them and go to the parties with them. And I realized that I was living a different life. I was destined for something much bigger, and I couldn't live that kind of life where I would just go out and, or in the evenings would go to somebody's house and we would just celebrate something or party or stay up late. And I realized that when I would arrive next day into the rehearsals, I was overtired and I couldn't focus and concentrate, and that, it really upset my director. And so I sort of had to grow up really quickly. And there was a great grief in saying sort of goodbye to my friends, even though they were right by me, but I had to enter a different life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was a really hard realization. But once you got the taste of what it's like to be entering the really, really high ranks, and the hard work that was ahead, and also seeing the reward of your hard work paying off by working extra 3 hours on your solos, or learning choreography, and you actually, like me, I actually got better much quicker. I learned so much from my mentor, and his name was Viktor Fedorchenko. And he was he partnered like the great ballerinas like Besmertnova, and at the Bolshoi he was trained in Kiev, and he would be called in for a show for the Bolshoi, and then he would fly back to Kiev. And so he was a phenomenal partner, and I learned so much from him, and I treasure all of these moments. And that was something that I would have never been able to do if I was staying at the lower ranks.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is, I would say, the biggest influence on my career was him. He really took something that was mediocre and made it look good enough to be a principal dancer.
That's amazing. Did you ever feel like giving up or thinking maybe this wasn't right for you, or did you always know inside that this is what you, it sounds like you did know
I
your life.
I I it was interesting. Somebody just recently, and I cannot recall who it was like when I entered the theater, I suddenly felt, okay, I found my people.
Mm-hmm.
These are my people. And there was never a moment. Once I was in the ballet, in the National Opera House, I immediately knew, this is it. These are my people. They the magic in the theater, getting lost in sort of this delicate roles and characters, and being able to portray or live somebody else's life on a stage. It was, I would say, I felt like it was an extension of child's play, something that we often maybe grieve as adults. You know, there's times when you would play at home, just watching my own daughter who is 10 years old. She gets lost in a play at the age of 10, imaginary world where she's this character, goes through the doors and house and plays these elaborate plays. I think maybe artists in general are the people who maybe yearn the days that they could play, and to be on the stage and being able to play a character is a sort of a filling the void of that imaginary world that you can step into.
It's sort of like living a dream.
Yes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, you've been teaching online classes now, is that correct?
Yes, I have. Yes, I just finished a summer course for San Francisco Ballet, and it was different because usually I teach students, and this time around I got to teach adult students, and that was really interesting. And we did a whole summer program and learned choreography and performed it, and it was a wonderful experience. I really enjoyed it.
And it was all digital?
All digital, everything.
Did you find that challenging, or were
It was not easy, I would say. Just a small amount of space that we all have in our living rooms or whatever we choose to work, and we had to adapt a lot of choreography. But just to give you an example, we did Entrance of the Swans, we did Chardash from Swan Lake. We adapted it all into a 6x6 dance floor. And we did Raimonda variation. And what else did we do? Oh yeah, Peasant Dance from the Swan Lake. And there was 4 little solos and everybody learned it. And it was really wonderful.
That's fantastic. Really. Has all of this COVID-19 changed? How has it changed what you do and how you're dancing?
What can I say?
I know it's been very difficult, but how are you managing to kind of keep your passion alive and keep people interested, keep yourself interested when you don't have that actual connection with somebody face to face like we're doing now? It would probably feel different if you and I were actually sitting across from each other.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I would say self-motivation is a big key in this particular situation. I am still dancing at the age of 43, and more than anything, I cannot wait to get back in the studios and work. But I have to say, a challenge of doing ballet class in your living room on a hard floor and don't have that kind of peer connection. It's extremely difficult. But what motivates me is actually my daughter. She is taking ballet very seriously now, wants to do ballet, and we have started taking ballet class together. So I have a long bar along my wall in my living room, and she is in front of me and I'm behind her, and we are taking the same exercises. I have gone back to doing level 3 exercises at the ballet bar, and I don't know if you know, but level 3 is it goes on pretty slow, and there's a lot of repetition. So I'm working probably much harder than I would regularly as a ballet dancer in a company, because you just don't do things so slow, like 8 count développés or just the constant repetition. And I think it's a wonderful challenge. And as a father, of course, being a role model to your daughter and showing that doesn't matter how hard things are, you still finish the exercise, and she takes great inspiration from that, and I take inspiration from seeing her improve. And that is one of those things that sort of motivates me. I know that a lot of people also get motivations from doing ballet classes via Zoom. I know that Ruben himself has started with his friend. They've started a worldwide ballet class.
Okay, yes.
And of course my sensei is a great platform as well. And if you're craving for community, that's definitely the place to go. And maybe just watch a ballet class, get you inspired, or just do along with everybody else. I think it's important.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. What is she? What other questions? Oh, well, yeah, this is an easy one. Really, I mean, what do you miss the most being in quarantine, or being, self-quarantining? I am sure you must miss the people, your other dancers, your.
I yeah, I miss this kind of peer-to-peer interaction. And what I miss the most is partnering, because partnering is something that I truly enjoy doing. And not having that is it's I can't right now partner with my daughter because she's too young and she is still learning how to hold her body. But I have thought that when she gets better, I might just start doing partnering with her. But it's very challenging to keep yourself in shape for partnering and not knowing when the return date is back to work. And also knowing that it will have a much larger impact on your return when you do become when you come back to partnering. There will So it's just a bunch of conditioning and back exercises, shoulder exercises, quad exercises, to keep all of these parts that will support the partner strong, basically.
Are you lifting weights?
I'm not really ever been a big on lifting weights. I have never felt like it did anything for my partnering skills. But now, yes, I occasionally lift weights just to test if just to train my back, basically. But no, I'm not big on lifting weights. I have never needed that. I just honor the most cleanest partnering technique, and I'm very, very proud of this, and I take it very seriously. And to tell you the truth, to be able to partner well, you don't really need to do much weightlifting.
It's interesting. I knew someone once who said there's nothing like getting yourself in shape more than lifting a 100-pound dancer over your head. But I guess, yeah, that's not all the time either. So what would you say your strongest skills are? You're the strongest things you could share with someone who is taking your class through my sensei? What would you say you would be best at explaining or teaching or showing them, mastering for them?
So whenever I teach, I try to give a simple class. I try to give short exercises with very simple patterns. And my focus is always trying to get the dancer warm, and try to make sure that we go through a bar and not just to tendu, jeté, rond de jambe, fondu, frappe, adagio, and crampement, and be done with the class. I try to keep my exercises short, so there will be lots and lots of exercises at the bar. and that dancer has gone through an array of exercises at the bar. And so when they arrive in a center, all elements of their bodies are warm. And when I really watch them, I try to identify what their individual strengths are. And if I have the opportunity to teach these wonderful students who are wanting to work with me, my focus will really be just about discovering their individual strengths and how to highlight these strengths. Because my theory in life in general, and especially in ballet, is we all are born with our inherent gifts. We all bear gifts, and we all know, maybe subconsciously or consciously, what we're good at. And I consider these as our strengths that make us unique. And anybody who enters a ballet company, ballet school, is taken in to that institution based on their strengths. They are not, or even in real life, you are hired because of your strengths, not because of your weaknesses. And my analogy is try to discover your individual strengths in ballet class and work on them, because these are the reasons why you are where you are today, and these are the reasons why you will be hired into a ballet company, because of the strengths. So now if we work on your strengths that you are born with, it doesn't take very much effort to improve your strength. Instead of focusing on your weaknesses that were not the reason why you got into the company in the first place, I would focus on the dancer's strengths. Because when push comes to shove and you are in front of the choreographer wants to see the best of you. And if you don't know what your strengths are, and you're just well-rounded 50-50 dancer, you really don't have anything to offer to the choreographer. Now, if you know what your strengths are, you may highlight those strengths, whether it is your musicality, your flexibility, your ability to jump, turn, spin, 2 tricks. The choreographer will not know this until you present those skills to them, and you become valuable assets. So that is my theory in teaching, is to work on your strengths. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work on overall technique. The technique has to be there, the technique has to be applied, but you need to learn how to highlight your individual strength.
That's really, really fascinating to me. And very true, as you said, in so many, any professional field that you're working in. Very interesting. What do you wish you had known when you were a young dancer that you didn't find out about till later, much later in your career? You know, if only I had known when I was 16, what I learned at 20. Is there anything?
Oy. Oy, oy, oy. So many things. Gosh, what would be the major one? Be patient. Be patient. And I once looked at one of the studies that was done with the children, and they were giving the chance of saying, you know, here is a cupcake. If you eat this, if you wait until I come back into the room, you can get a second cupcake. And the people would leave and the child would sit there, and some would eat their cupcake right away and others would wait and wait and wait. And it was a study where they just waited really long time. And the study concluded that it was the grit. It was the grit that separated the children from who would eventually have the chances of becoming successful in their field. And that's that patience. You as a dancer, if you get impatient and you think, okay, well, this person or that person got a role, I am out of here, they don't respect me, I walk out. That's the kind of attitude that unfortunately is never going to serve you well. So I encourage all the students who are listening to this, or even the professional dancers, if you're listening to this, just be patient. If you work hard, you will get rewarded. And if it's not the role that you're looking for, you will get rewarded for your patience and professionalism, and it will pay back in the long run. Just stay patient, don't jump the gun. And that is like a one key thing in also in self-motivation. Just be patient. It will pay off. And that, I would say that is one of the major things in at least for me, to be patient, because I am not by nature a patient person. If and I had to be, and that was a wonderful thing. I learned this lesson really well, and I remind myself, the hard work and patience will pay off in the end.
That's good to know. This is my last question for you, Tiit. I'm just curious to know, what was in your professional dancing career, what was your favorite role? Did you have one?
Oh, so many. I was very fortunate to be in a place where I entered the company, and my director saw a great future or potential in me, and I was very fortunate to create, when I was 20 years old, a new version of the Romeo and Juliet, and I was able to play Romeo, and it got a great feedback from the press in Estonia. I got an award for it in Estonia. And then when I went to work with Birmingham Royal Ballet in England, I got to dance Kenneth Macmillan's Romeo and Juliet many times. So many performances and so many different Juliets. And I fell in love with that ballet even more. And I even still remember the last season before I was joining San Francisco Ballet. I could not stop crying in my final bows at the end of the ballet, and knowing that this might be the last time I'll do Romeo and Juliet. And I was only 28, and it was, in fact, in San Francisco. I never danced Romeo and Juliet, and the other ballet is Giselle. Also the same thing. I danced it in Estonia. I danced it in England many times. I danced it in San Francisco so many times. At least, I think I recall 5 seasons of dancing. I've had so many Giselles as my partners. Occasionally had to step into other people's shows. And Giselle is like one of those incredible stories that also is just such a release at the end of the show. So much emotions, so many emotions get wrapped up in that show. And truly, Albrecht and Giselle and Romeo and Juliet were one of those roles that I've had such a great experience, because I've danced them so many times. So I know them in and out. And I could probably at this point like stage the whole ballets. I know them so well. And also watching others doing those same roles again. And I think I just really want to point out, I think Alina Kocikaru and Giselle with Johan Coburg, I truly think there was a a recording that was done from Royal Opera House, and I think it was Sir Peter Wright's Giselle that they were dancing. But all of those things that I worked on as a partner of trying to make look your partner completely seamless, like she's floating in the air, and the kind of effort that you put, the kind of muscle strength that you have to put behind that partner into action to make every effort to look as weightless as possible. I saw Johan do this in such a selfless manner. And that was just such a great reminder of what we're all doing this for. It's all for the ballerina, and what a great sacrifice it is to make her look so beautiful. And I loved every single moment of their show. It was just so refreshing and so beautiful.
That's really wonderful. Wow. Well, that's all the questions I have for you for now. But I'd love to take one of your ballet classes sometime.
Oh, please do. Please do.
That'd be good. I think that's it, and I will pass this on to Daria, and I guess she'll do what I think she's putting it out on the website, so watch it again there.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking this time to chat with me and share your stories and your experience with me. It just is really, really fun and interesting. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day, as they say.
You too.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.